Vernon, great to have you here. And I want you to tell me why you decided to endorse President Trump and what kind of reaction you got.
It was very clear my support of President Trump. Two things. One, the strong leadership, and two, the results. President Trump gets results, and I've had to run a government as a county executive, and I know what it means to get things done. And just like you, and you were the chief executive, we got things done, so we can appreciate someone like the president who not just talk the talk, but walk the walk.
You know, some of your Democratic colleagues called you a traitor, even said you were an embarrassment. I've got to tell you, I was surprised by the level of abuse and hostility. Were you surprised at what was thrown at you over this?
Well, Mike, first of all, what are they going to do? Spank me? I mean, it's the issue here. The Democratic Party does not have room under its tent, supposedly inclusive tent, for independent thinking and conservative Black men and women. And what I've done is really just expose the bigotry that has been going on all along with this party. I have two of my colleagues, one in Michigan, state representative. She was censored just because she thanked the president. I have another colleague out in Tennessee who served 26 years, a pastor, elected 13 times by his constituents. And the Democratic Party literally took him off the ballot a couple of weeks ago because he was for school choice and he was pro-life. And so this is being exposed more and more every day, Mike. And that's why I was saying I didn't leave the party. The Democratic Party left me.
You know, Vernon, I hear that and it breaks my heart because I'm thinking about some of those issues you just mentioned. One being pro-life. More Black babies are aborted, far more proportionally than are white babies. You would think that would be an issue that African Americans across the country would be saying, quit killing our babies. I don't understand why those issues are not issues that Democrats would want to embrace and become pro-life.
Well, Mike, Black people have a historic reputation of being conservative across the board, very faith-based, hardworking, saving their money. However, the Democratic Party has hijacked the Black voters, and they've taken them down this left road where they're more radical, they're more leftist, they're more socialist, and Black people have got to stop and get woke, if you will, and see what's really going on here. And so that's what I'm doing. I'm working to bring back out those values that the Black community had instilled in them. I was born and reared on a farm in North Carolina. I was taught hard work. Obviously, faith and going to church was a big part of it. The only thing we wanted from the government was for it to get out of our way so we can be productive citizens and live a quality of life. And so you're seeing that Democratic Party, they really are horrified and they're terrified of Blacks thinking independently.
I'm curious, were there some specific issues the president has been a champion of that really led you to say, I'm going to support President Trump for re-election?
President Trump has a clear message in terms of what he's done for our clear track record. He's created jobs. He's helped small businesses. He's cut taxes. He's allowed us to America not to be taken for granted by these foreign countries and making them pay their fair share, but to bring it back home specifically. I was born and reared in the South. I mentioned to you about that, but I went to a historical Black college, North Carolina Central University. I'm a proud graduate for what he did to not only restore funding, but to go and write it into law. Also, the criminal justice reform. You can see where Joe Biden wrote the crime bill that disproportionately put many Blacks in jail and in prison. They were separated from their families. They lost everything. And President Trump has come with the First Step Act that allowed them, nonviolent, first-time offenders along that category, to get back out, be reunited with their families, and at the same time go on and live productive lives. And also opportunity zone districts. A lot of African-American communities have been hit by the blight, and this allows them to have revitalization of those neighborhoods and investments and tax breaks for business people, including African-Americans. So President Trump has left no group behind. Everybody's prospered under President Trump's administration.
Have you had any feedback from the president or his campaign or any of his people? Did any of them reach out to you?
You know, Mike, I'm just like you. We didn't do anything to get feedback from the president. It's just how I felt. and it needs to be said. And I don't have a problem. I call balls and strikes. I've always had conservative leanings. I've always been independent. I voted for President George W. Bush. Well, they gave me a hard time about that when I ran for the United States Senate, but I don't care. I am glad, though, that my voice have become public because many feel the same way I feel, but they're afraid of being browbeat by the Democratic Party. And that's why I talk about rooting that bigotry out. But at the same time, I have been reached by or contacted by some within the Trump organization, not from President Trump, not looking for that. He's trying to get us through this pandemic crisis right now, and that's the most important thing. But I will do everything I can to help this president get reelected because I think he's the best person to lead us not only through this pandemic crisis, but also to get us back on our feet where we can continue to have those record-breaking numbers as he's done with Wall Street and unemployment for various ethnic groups. And so I want this president to get reelected. He deserves it. He's done more than 3.5 years than most presidents have done in my lifetime. So I'm honored to work with him.
Bernard Jones, thank you very, very much for being with us. It has been a pleasure, and your honesty and candor is refreshing. Thank you so much for coming. And I want to tell our audience that you can keep up with Representative Jones on Twitter at Rep. Vernon Jones.